In voting theory, the plurality method says that when you have an election, the choice with the most first preference votes is the winner. But the plurality with elimination method is a little different. It says that the choice with the majority of first preference votes is the winner. So if you're just using the plurality method to determine the winner, all you're doing is determining which choice or which candidate has the most first preference votes. They don't actually have to have more than 50% of the votes to be the winner. But under the plurality with elimination method, you must have over 50% of the first preference votes to be declared the winner. So if you have an election and if no choice has the majority, then you must eliminate the choice or choices with the fewest first preference votes, and then you repeat this process until a winner is found. So let's check out an example of how to actually use this method. This says a university gives a survey to 200 students asking them about their preferred school lunch. The preference table below shows the results. Determine the winner using the plurality with elimination method. So here are the results of our survey. We asked students what their preferred school lunch is. In this table, H stands for hot dog, C stands for cheeseburger, and P stands for pizza. So for example, 36 students out of the 200 said that hot dog would be their first choice, cheeseburger would be their second choice, and pizza would be their third choice. So that's how you can interpret the results of this table. So if we want to determine the winner using the plurality with elimination method, that means that the winner has to have more than 50% of the first place votes. So if 200 students took this survey, 50% or half of that would be 100 students. Or in other words, a choice needs to have more than 100 first preference votes to be declared the winner. Or another way to say that is you need 101 or more first preference votes to be the winner. So the way that we can use this method is we'll say this first round of voting, let's count how many first preference votes hot dog, cheeseburger, and pizza all got. So first let's count the number of first preference votes for hot dog. So if we look at our table, we can see that in this column right here, hot dog was chosen as the first choice and it had 36 voters. We can also see that in this column, hot dog was also the first choice, and it had 25 total voters. Now, these are the only two columns where hot dog was actually chosen as the first choice. So the total number of first preference votes for hot dog would be 36 plus 25, which is 61. So we'll say in this first round of voting, hot dog got 61 first preference votes. Then we'll count the number of first preference votes for cheeseburger. So we can see in this column and this column, cheeseburger got the first choice. So that would be 40 plus 23, which is 63. And then lastly, we'll count the number of first preference votes for pizza. So in this column and this column, pizza was the first choice. So it had a total of 41 plus 35 first choice votes. So that adds up to 76. So we can see that during this first round of voting, none of the choices actually had 101 votes or more. So none of them had a majority. So what we have to do is eliminate the choice with the fewest first preference votes. So we can see that hot dog had the fewest first preference votes. So what we need to do is just go through this table and eliminate all of the hot dog choices. So this box, we'll just eliminate hot dog from each column. So now we can see that in these columns where hot dog used to be first place, it's no longer considered. So now, for example, cheeseburger is in first place for this column, and now pizza is in first place for this column because hot dogs are no longer considered. So now let's do a second round of voting, and let's see how many first preference votes each choice gets. So hot dog has been eliminated, so we don't have to consider that one. We'll move on to cheeseburger. So let's count the cheeseburger first preference votes. So remember, in this column, we're saying cheeseburger is now in first because hot dog isn't considered. So now we'll see that in this column, and this column, and this column, cheeseburger now has the first place votes. So that would be 36 plus 40 plus 23. So that turns out to be 99. So we'll write a 99 for cheeseburger. And now we'll move on to pizza. So we're counting the columns where pizza is in first. So now in this column, pizza is going to be first place since hot dog has been eliminated. So pizza has the most votes here, and here, and here. So it has a total of 25 plus 41 plus 35 first preference votes. And that adds up to 101. So pizza has 101 in the second round. So notice that pizza met the threshold of 101 or greater. So that means pizza is the winner. Now in this particular example, we only had to eliminate one choice before we found the winner. But sometimes you'll have to do multiple rounds of elimination until you actually find a choice with the majority of votes. So just keep that in mind.